Hey everybody, welcome back. Another episode of the Positive Podcast, where we talk about the 3 P's, the most important P's that you will ever see. Personal finance, sorry, I can't help myself. Personal finance, parenting, and positive outcome, positive mindset.
Absolutely.
Positivity, it's in the name. What do we got today, Chelsea?
So on this episode, we are going to be talking about Raving Fans by Ken Blanchard.
I feel like I need the foam finger for this one. Like,
oh my gosh.
Raving
Yeah,
Fans.
this one's good. This one's super good. I love how short of a read it was too.
Thank God. I got that one in under the wire for this podcast. Let me tell you, that one got in last night. So.
And it made me really happy reading this. I was like, oh, we have done a lot of Raving Fans things, implemented it into the business. And it just I feel so grateful for where I work because the clients get to experience that too.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And I'm just I'm excited for them when they get a mortgage with us.
Yeah.
Because I know it's just going to be such a interesting, surprising, fun experience.
I remember one book I read too, they called it Remarkable, because you want to make it something to remark about,
yeah.
Right? But that's that whole Raving Fans philosophy. You know what I like about this book too, is it's written, I love when the positive, inspirational books are written like a story.
Oh, you like that? I sometimes like it.
Yeah, hey, cool. Yeah, I think, you know why? Because it's different. Because a lot of times it's do this or I did this.
Yeah.
Like it's that first person, I'm like this and you should be like that.
Yeah.
Whereas it's just like a little bit of an intellectual leap where you're like, oh, I get it. There's a story happening here about customer service, you know? Mm-hmm. I can see that not everybody enjoys that type.
No, it's not my favorite thing because sometimes I'm just I just want the quick points. I don't need a story. But anyway, it was good because it was
Get
short.
to the point.
Get to the point. But I loved it. I did love this book for sure. What was your favorite part of the book?
You know what I loved, because when they talk about Raving Fans, it's kind of like he goes to the 3 different businesses, like Barley's and then the gas station. And I remember the first time I read this is years ago. I think this was first published, I don't even know how long ago. It was probably 15, 20 years ago at least. Mm-hmm. But what the shopping center did, I loved hearing the customer service stories because it was kind of this was copyright 1993.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's hearing about how they would, when you go into this fictitious shopping mall, you had the personal shopper, they had valet parking. It's
I know.
Looking outside.
Flowers.
You got a corsage or a carnation corsage. It's everybody's problem when you walk in. But you got that when you walked in, that was cool. Mm-hmm. I thought, and it really forces me to think about business, made me think of Doubletree, the hotel chain Doubletree.
Oh, the hot cookie?
The cookie.
I know. That was a cool experience.
It's something so simple, right? But it's kind of and I think where sometimes I've been stuck before, where maybe people get stuck, is you want to create an outstanding experience, but then you get overwhelmed with how many things could be amazing. And you start to think, if I need to do all this, but you just need to start with one thing.
And again, I know I keep bringing this up, but I guess I've just never worked at a company that does these little touch points to make the experience fun. But in the book, the one guy said how can you afford to do this for all your clients? And then he was just how can I afford not to?
Right.
You want repeat business and you want word of mouth and you want people to know what you're known for and those fun experiences.
It's so true, right? And I think, and then what you start to do, I think, is you attract your tribe. Right? Because there's a point in the book too where he talks about it's knowing what you want to do, but also I forget how, because he had the rules in the shields in the story, or the pins, but it's also knowing who to say no to. Because if your customer wants something that you don't provide, the worst thing that you can do is try and provide it.
Oh my gosh. And you do that all the time with us. You're guys, who's your hedgehog? Give good expectations. Don't want to disappoint. And it's so true.
Well, and I think it comes from a good spot, right? Anybody who is in customer service wants to help people. Usually that's what makes people great, is you want to help people. But trying to help somebody, it's if you go to McDonald's and they ask for a steak, you don't run out and grab the barbecue and cook one for them.
Right.
You just say, go to the keg.
Yep, absolutely.
Right? So I think that, and this book too, for anybody, it'll take you 10 seconds to read. Maybe 20, right? It's 120 pages. It's so good.
So one thing I loved about the book too, and I really noticed this, I know we've talked about like the keg in the past, but it was like consistency and systems. And I love that. And I know like the business too that we're in, we do have a lot of systems, and I'm just like so grateful because you don't have to think about what to do next. Like, you know the process. And it just seems so seamless to the client on their side. They're like, oh, there's no hiccups happening. Even though there might be hiccups in the background, I know what the steps are. I know how to figure those out. And it's like they talked about that too.
Yeah. It's it's great for efficiency, and it allows you to go really, really deep, I think, in customer service, and allows you to have, I think that's the trick to Raving Fans. It's like when you go, you know what you're going to get. And when you know, and when you get what you expect, because I think customer service today is terrible. Really. Like how low our expectations. Have you ever called Bell? Sorry. Bell, you can cut me off, okay?
I've heard you on the phone with Belle before.
That's probably one of the times that I am not worthy of doing the Positive Podcast, when I'm on the phone with Belle. But it's just like, you know, I've got multiple businesses. I've got home, cottage. I've got cell phone. I've got probably, 20 accounts with Belle.
Yeah.
And and it's not that I need the red carpet rolled out or anything, but to sit on hold for 45 minutes and then get transferred 4 or 5 times, you're like, guys, like, you're missing the point here. Like, and then when I don't answer the security question correctly because I have so many accounts, they're like, sir, what was the amount of your last bill? I'm like,
which one?
I don't know. And they're like, we can't give you any information. I'm like, I want to pull my hair out, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm your hedgehog. I'm your customer. I'm who you want to treat really, really well.
Yeah.
But I think that's when systems can get too regimented.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know?
there has to be a little bit of wiggle room. I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there has to be a little bit of like, you know, or else like, I feel like I'm telling on Belle.
No,
Speaking about telling on people, I got a question for you. This is totally unrelated, but like, is Isaac a tattletale?
He's not. No.
Yeah.
I wish sometimes he would tell me more about what's going on.
Yeah.
But no, he's not. And I don't know where that comes from, if that's just like a boy thing. Like, there's been times where he's like snuck like candy when he wasn't supposed to, and I caught him, and he's like, don't be a rat, Mom. And I'm just like, whoa, okay, calm down. Yeah, like, don't tell Dad. And I'm like, whoa, where is this coming from? But there are times where I'm like, okay, so you got in an altercation at school, or like he comes home with like dirt all over his face, and like, you know, like something happened outside with all the little boys in the neighborhood, and he's like, I'm not telling you, everything's fine. Like, he's really not that kid, but sometimes I wish he was a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder what people do in these situations, because we had a situation where Lila was on the bus coming home, and somebody was eating food in the back of the bus.
Okay.
And I guess the bus driver ended up telling the kids, like, you're not allowed to eat in the bus, because if you do, it'll get rats.
Trying to scare them.
And it worked. Like, Lila doesn't like rats. Fair enough. So then she ended up going to the bus driver and said, so-and-so's eating in the back of the bus, right? And then, you know, she got off the bus. She told me and Wendy about it. And I was like, I wasn't sure to reward her for it, you know, for standing up and telling the truth, or to be like, you're not going to make a lot of friends that way. Do you know what I mean? So I just wonder what the right answer is on that one.
Well, I'm pro Lila in this part. And the reason being is, like, I feel like she's just doing, like, what the bus driver said. Like, she's doing the right thing to me. And she's also 7. Like,
fair. If
she was 13 doing this, like, I don't think it'd even be a conversation. She wouldn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with having a rule follower.
I like, you know, and I'm grateful for it, because like, she is such a good rule follower. Like, if I end up saying, like, you need to do, like, she'll have iPad time. And if I say you've got 10 minutes of iPad time and we'll set the timer on it, I'll be downstairs. I hear the timer. She's got the heaviest feet in the world. And then all I hear is, like, she'll go, if I say 10 minutes, go brush your teeth and hop into bed and we'll do the story time.
She'll do all those things.
She'll do it.
Wow.
Like, so she's a great rule follower there.
Wow, that's be nice.
Well, not all the time, right? But, you know, sometimes there does need to be a repeat. But I remember me and Wendy were talking about it, because I wonder when that conversation comes between, you know, it's important to tell, right, if it's affecting safety or something else. But if it's not affecting you or your safety,
I think she's good. They're so young, right? Like, yeah. It will be totally different when she's a little bit older, I think. And there'll be like that like moral, ethical dilemma. Like she'll start to like come into that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, you want to be able to nurture the time for her to be able to talk to me. Like I want her to be able to have that communication. And sometimes, I don't know if you find this too, but sometimes she'll confide in me, and sometimes she'll confide in Wendy.
Right.
She'll tell like this, and you know what she says? She'll say, "Don't tell Dad."
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens.
But then I get told.
I probably don't.
Oh yeah, I think it's like, well, I think it's good, right? And it's kind of like, and sometimes like I know she said things in the past to Wendy, and then Wendy's like, "You can't say anything," and I'm just like, I want to say something, but I can't. You know,
Yeah.
you can't. I want to nurture that trust as well too. Right?
I can only imagine what him and Ollie talk about. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure I don't get told.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's okay too, I guess.
That's
right?
okay.
Well, and I guess too, because that gives the bond as well, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely. For sure.
I ended up, I tried to get Lila into customer service as I was reading Raving Fans.
Okay, let's hear it.
No, it's pretty short. It's pretty, she just said, "Dad, customer service is boring."
Oh.
I was like, I hope you think differently when you're older. You can't work at the company.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What I did like about the book too, so it does touch on like you have to know what you want before your client knows what they
Yeah.
want. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to have like your service dialed in so tight first.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like you said, the McDonald's thing.
Well, it's true, right? I think I know the example that they used. I thought was really cool, right? If you want to have the world's best hamburger, I think they were talking about, right? Like you need to know that that's your vision before you ask people what they want. Because if you start asking people what they want before you have your vision, you're just going to go in like 100 different directions because you got to pick. Like you can't do everything perfectly. It's like picking the one thing, like steam whistle. Do one thing really, really well. Steam Whistle Brewery.
The beer, yeah, I get it.
I don't know. I thought that was a good marketing play there.
But we had a client call recently, and she was like, so-and-so referred me to your company, and she was like, I really thought it was like nice, the little things that happen throughout the mortgage. And I said to her on the phone, like, yeah, it can be really boring and not fun getting a mortgage, so we make it fun.
Yeah, I think so, right? I think that's also too, it's probably one of the most stressful things people can go through. We've talked about it before where it's like fear and anxiety. So it's kind of like, how do you, like if you meet fear with fear or anxiety with anxiety, that's just not a great situation.
No.
But if someone comes like I am applying for a mortgage and I'm still wondering if I'm going to get approved, and I've done this 10,000 times. I remember I emailed, Brenda from our office. I'm like, how's my application looking? Is it okay? But if I'm nervous about it, and I know the system, I know everything
It's your
about
system.
it, and I'm still wondering. So I always remind myself of that because I'm like, if I feel this way, how does someone who does this once every 10 years feel?
Yeah, I know.
They must feel terrified, or they must feel vulnerable, or they must feel like anxious. So I think just remembering that is one of the best things that we can do. And I think you do a great job of this, and our company does a great job, is delivering peace and calmness.
Yeah,
Right?
I think
like
so.
it's like I think, and I'm grateful that AI will never be able to replace that.
Right. Yeah.
AI is not going to be able to tuck me in at night.
No.
Pat my back
Oh
and
my
say everything's
goodness.
going to be okay with that mortgage. And if it can, that's just weird, right? But like, I'll try it. But, delivering for customer service and Raving Fan service is really like just making people feel peaceful at the end of the day.
Yeah, they feel special. And it doesn't matter, like, I know there's a few different things we can do at work, but it's not just always like, oh, you're buying your first home where you feel that like special, warm, fuzzy feeling. We have a few different services. So they're going to feel that if they come back for something different or if they refer a client or friend. Like, we just always want them to know that they're special.
Well, it's true, right? And I think, like you say, a lot of people come in with that trepidation. We've had people come in that are losing their home, right? Or people that are, we're in an economy right now where things are increasingly more expensive. So to be able to help somebody in that situation and not make them feel bad, because I remember coming from the bank, a lot of times people would almost feel embarrassed to share their situation, and it's like making people feel normal. I think that's one of the best things in the world. I think that's why so many people go to therapy. It's because a therapist can look at you and say, you know what, Brian, you're not the only one that's going through this.
This isn't that bad.
And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow, I feel pretty good. And I think, we do a great job of, when we look at somebody's finances, and you do a great job and say, yeah, you know what, I've seen this before.
Totally.
And it's actually not that bad, and we'll be able to help. And I think just something as simple as that creates raving fan service too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just being there for them. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, if you have 15 minutes or a stomach problem, you could probably finish this book. Okay. Sorry about that. But Raving Fans, Ken Blanchard. And you know what? If you run a team or you have a business, give it to the people you work with, right? Like there's so many great principles that are tried, tested, and true in this that you could apply to your business. And maybe don't read it to your 7-year-old because it is not for 7-year-olds. No interest. 0 interest right now. All right. If you guys have any questions or anything that you want to reach out on, please send us a message. And if you have any parenting tips that you want to share with us, please let us know as well too.
And Raving Fan tips.
Any Raving Fan tips too. Awesome. Make it a fabulous day.